Blog Talk Radio.
You're listening to Critical Mass Radio. Now it's our turn.
Critical Mass Radio Time to Act conference is taking place from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. on Saturday, the 24th of November 2012 at the Britannia Country House Hotel, Didsbury, Manchester. With 8 key speakers covering the sovereign state of Forvic and council tax manipulation, government cover-ups and the paranormal, what's gone wrong with British policing, what's really happening inside our courts, the trust relationship, deaths and the economic enslavement, military basic training and techniques of mind control, how the constitutions, laws and regulations of the EU will enable it to hold us in slavery, and how we have been programmed with language for so very long. This is an event you definitely do not want to miss. Speakers on the day are Danny Bamping, Albert Burgess, Tony Farrell and David Noakes, with CMR's very own Ben Emlyn Jones, Rob Freeman, Mark Howell and Paul Rippon. The world has reached a moment in time when it has become apparent to those who know how things really work that we all need to unite and move forward proactively as a matter of urgency to try our best to protect our future and that of the planet. Please join us at the very first CMR conference to help make that move in the right direction. And remember, knowledge is power. Tickets for this event are £20 and available via the CMR website at www.criticalmassradio.co.uk. Please pay for tickets required using the donate button on the site. The CMR Critical Mass Radio Time to Act conference, because now it's our turn.
Okay, welcome to the show, folks. Hope you're all well. I'll go into what's on the show in a couple of minutes. Just before I do, anybody wants to contact the show, it's prisoner@criticalmassradio.co.uk. prisoner@criticalmassradio.co.uk. Just before I'll tell you what's on tonight, just like to make comments on the broadcast that went on last night. First show, Rob Freeman's show, Out of the Matrix, absolutely brilliant. Rob explained how he beat the man down in court. He didn't know what to do with him, didn't know what to do with the sentencing. Basically given points on a licence that he doesn't even hold anyway, it doesn't exist. To me it was a result, and anybody who wants to hear the details and how Rob went about it, you can get it on the podcast if you go onto the Critical Mass Radio page. The podcasts are there up on the left hand side. Then following Rob's show last night was the Radio Z show. I haven't stopped raving about it from last night when it finished till this afternoon when I was speaking to Paul, the station manager, and other people. I think it was 2 hours of excellent broadcasting. People may take issues with language, bad language, explicitives, but the knowledge, I've said this before about Alex, the knowledge and the information that he puts out, for me, anybody who has any doubt about what we're up against and the monsters that are running the show with regard to our lives and our children's lives, and have run the show for hundreds of years, thousands of years maybe, just listen to that broadcast last night. Absolutely unbelievable. And when you finish listening to it, put it back to the beginning and listen to it again. Because if anybody out there is any doubt at all, then after listening to that, if they're not convinced or more well informed than they were before, then they are sleepwalking. They are sleepwalkers, and there is no hope for them. But as I say, best bit of broadcasting I've heard for a long time. Well done, Sir Alex. I'm going to play a song, and after the song, I'm going to introduce. I've got two guests tonight. Later on in the show, in the second hour of the show, Pippa will be popping in to do a regular slot with alternative news. She's got a few items that she wants to go through tonight. Before that, I've got two guests. I've got Rob Bolloxed, pardon my French. Rob's done a hell of a lot of work and is doing a hell of a lot of work with regards to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in all its various forms, and the European Convention on Human Rights, and it's far too complicated for me to go into, so I'll let Rob explain that. And also got sitting with me at home, Truthjuicedave, a fellow scouter. Dave, like Rob Freeman, has been taking on the judiciary and the so-called authorities and beating them as well. And as in Rob's case, we've had a couple of setbacks here and there, but overall, it's having an effect. And Dave will be explaining it, what he's been doing as well. I'll put a song on and hopefully we'll have the two lads on after this. See you after this song. As I said for the song, and I've got Dave with me here at home, and hopefully on the other end of the Skype line we should have Rob Bolloxed, pardon my French. Hello, Rob.
How you doing, mate? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, fine, loud and clear. So how we're going to do this is, I think Dave's going to go first and give us a bit of an idea of what he's been doing, and then obviously the three of us will interact or whatever, and then we'll go to. Is that okay, Rob?
Yeah, fine.
Okay there, mate. Okay, folks. I'm going to ask Dave to give a little bit about what he's about and what he's been up to and what he's trying to achieve, basically. Welcome to the show, Dave.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, George. Yeah.
And you, likewise, mate.
Nice to be on your show. And good evening to all the listeners.
Brilliant. So, what's all this about? You tell me.
Right, okay. I need to go a bit closer to the microphone. I run Truthjuice in Liverpool, and we're after the truth. We have all sorts of different people coming to talk every fortnight on many different subjects. Some might seem a bit wacky, some not so wacky, and some telling all about the sewer. I call it a sewer, the system that we live in.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that now 21 months or so with help from the original founders, and also Joyce. She helps me as well, making cups of tea and all that sort of stuff. I first met Rob Bolloxed it's probably about 6-8 months ago, and he came and done a talk on trusts and trust law, more or less fairly quickly after I first met him. I've been challenging the system, if I can. Read a couple of things out which were given to me this morning by my friend Joyce there. And her brother wrote these many years ago, and well, it's certainly apt for what's going on today. Excuse me. Right, the first one's called Life. Life is an endless cycle, constantly changing its form. Death is a human conception, defying all natural law. Everything lives forever, no need for tears or grief. just take the time to listen. You will hear our ancestors speak. That's number one, and here's another one. Now, this was written 15, 20 years ago, right? The same man, Dave, is not in perfect health as we speak, and he's over there in an area called Mossy Hill in Liverpool. But these are things that Joseph only just come across. Didn't understand them 20 years ago, but she does now. This is called Conspiracy Theories and Lies. Conspiracy theories and lies, hunger and greed side by side. The people strive to survive, persecuted with tears in their eyes. The frightened seek somewhere to hide, conspiracy theories and lies. While government leaders convive, poverty eats away pride. The people strive to survive. Does anyone hear the cries of those to whom we have lied? Conspiracy theories and lies. Corruption of power worldwide as human rights are denied. The people strive to survive. When a future new order arrives, the old one will be swept aside. Conspiracy theories and lies. The people strive to survive. Now,
pre-9/11.
Now, they were written 15, 20 years ago. And hats off to this man, Dave. He was seeing this way before I seen him, and he's not much older than me. So this thing's been going on for a long time. This sewer has been systematically put together, and it's been put together very cleverly with very ingenious people behind it. And it appears that the secret societies are the driving force, and we all know the learned people that are in these secret societies. Right, okay, my story, my little battle that was won a couple of weeks ago. We'll start with that, shall we? Yeah. I went through a mobile camera trap in North Wales in January earlier on this year. A couple of weeks later, I got a letter through the door addressed to the person, and it gave me multiple choices, or it gave my person multiple choices. And the first choice was, do I want, or does my person want 3 points and a fixed penalty fine? The second choice was fixed penalty fine and a driver awareness course for £100, or go to a magistrate's court. And please provide driver details. And it was an application for either one, so you just tick one of those boxes, number 1, 2 or 3, to apply for a fine, or to go to court, or a driver's awareness. Well, I didn't fancy any of them, actually, to be honest, so it went in the bin. I didn't want to put my person through that. So 2 weeks later, again, the same thing. And then in May, early May this year, a constable, or 2 constables, I think one was a special cop because he was very young, but they knocked on my door and said, "Are you Mr. Dave Truthjuice?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, Mr. Dave Truthjuice." I said, "Yes, he's upstairs in the bedroom drawer. Would you like me to get him for you?" To which he looked up at the sky and said, "Oh God, it's going to be one of those days." I said, "Yeah, it will be." I said, what are you after?" He said, "Well," and he flipped over this page, and there was a photograph of what looked to be me. Perfect photograph. These digital cameras are a pain in the neck. And there was me smiling at this camera. No, there was a picture of me smiling at this camera. And he said, "Is that you? Because it looks like you." I said, "It does, doesn't it? But it can't be me." He said, "Why?" I said, "Because I'm here. How can it be there and here? And besides that, that's only 2-dimensional. I'm 3-dimensional, singing, dancing, coughing, smoking, drinking. Man." And he said, oh God, it's going to be a day. It's going to be a long day. I said, yeah, it's going to be a long day. He said, no, that can't be me. So I started talking about, I am not the person that's written on that piece of paper that you've got. I am not Mr. Anything. I am a man, so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, he said, I've got to say papers. As well, I'm happy to accept those papers on behalf of the person, Mr. David Truthjuice, as long as you understand that I am not that person and that I am a man, commonly known as Dave, of the Truthjuice family. He said, yeah, whatever, just will you sign this? I said, I'm not signing anything. So I said, I'll take them off you on that understanding. Okay. He said, yeah, okay. So, and that was it. He was quite amicable, and he seemed like a nice sort of chap. So a couple of days later, I read what it said, and it says you've got to furnish us with the driver's details within 7 days. Otherwise, the fine will go up from, or the offence will go up from a speeding to failure to provide driver's details. Now, I soon afterwards became aware of the Bill of Rights 1688 in the UK, and if you don't know about the Bill of Rights 1688 in the UK, folks, I'll just give you a quick run through it. King William brought this about after the tyranny King James had put the commoners and the people of Britain with extra taxes on this, taxes on that. And one of the, or part of this act states, any grants or promises of fines or forfeitures of property before a person is convicted in a public court of law are void and illegal. And that's a statute, and it's still in force today. It cannot be repealed apparently because it's a royal statute. So, after reading that, I thought, well, you know, it's time to bring this to the attention of the North Wales Police. So I wrote a letter saying, blah, 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 you know, Bill of Rights, da-da-da. Silence was the answer, and there was a court date set for sometime in August. I can't remember the date. So I turned up at the court, and it was a magistrate's court. And before, there's people going blip, blip, blip on the Skype, puts it off a little bit. So, got into the magistrate's court, or the magician's court as I call it, because they're all casting spells on you folks. Be wary when you go in these places. Anyway, there was a court clerk, what I assumed to be a court clerk, who did not introduce herself, by the way, and said, will you step into the dock, please? I said, no way am I getting on your ship until I find out what jurisdiction you're in. I said, before we start, there's a couple of questions I'd like to ask. And she said, well, you can ask the magistrates when they come in. So she disappeared. A couple of minutes later, she came back. And then a couple of minutes later, a buzzer sounded, and 3 people walked onto what I now call an altar, a holy place. Take your shoes off when you go in court, folks. These places is holy ground, or they see it as holy ground. So anyway, are you Mr. David Truthjuice? I said, well, hang on, before we start, I've got a few questions. Okay, fire away. Does the court observe, practice, uphold and recognise the Bill of Rights 1688? Looked at them all 4 of them, and all 4 of them were in silence. Give them a few seconds, okay. Does the court uphold, recognise, practice all my rights under the Declaration of Human Rights, Universal Rights, 1948? They were all silent. And then I brought another one in, and they were all silent on that. And the clerk of court turned to the magistrates and said, well, we obviously recognise statute law in this court, and then swiftly turned to me and said, are you in a position to make a plea? I said, absolutely not. I'm not pleading for anything. And she said, well, in that case, we'll put a plea in for you. And I said, are you my power of attorney? And she said, no, I'm not. And then I said, are you acting on your oath of office at this time? Silence. So I said it again, are you acting on your oath of office at this time? And she said, we've all been sworn in, which is not the answer to the question, but then she swiftly turned to the magistrate, the middle magistrate, and said, well, your worship, seeing as though we can't identify this man, I suggest we put in a plea of not guilty and adjourn the court for another date. At which time I said to her, are you my power of attorney? And she said, no, I'm not. So then, the magistrate, the middle, his worshipful master, said, right, I'm putting in a plea of not guilty. And I said, are you my power of attorney? He said, no, I'm the power in this court. I thought law was the power in the court. I'm obviously mistaken. So then he just basically slapped the hammer down, and I said, is there anybody here? Please ring the police. I believe perjury, treason and misconduct in public offices took place. So my friend passed me his phone, and the police come on the line. I said, will you send a constable up to the court, because there seems to be treason, perjury and misconduct. At that point they ran out. Yes, all four of them ran out of the court. In fact, who won the 100 metres this year in the Olympics?
Usain Bolt.
Well, I'll tell you what, whoever it was.
Bolt fast.
Well, absolutely, really fast. So, excuse me, folks, tickly cough. So, that was that, and well, it wasn't just that. No, some policemen turned up, but while we were waiting for the police to turn up, the court usher come in and said, "Can you come after the court, please?" I said, "No, I'm waiting for the police to arrive. I believe there's a crime or crimes being committed, and no, I'm waiting for the police. But you've got to get out." I said, "No, I'm waiting here." I said, "I'm not leaving this court so that they can take more people who are sitting in the waiting room and stuff them as well." I said, "It's not going to happen. I'm not going to see crimes get committed against innocent people who haven't got a clue what's going on in these places." So he said, "Well, I'm getting securities. Get the hell are you on?" So one of the gas fitters come in, as I call G4S, G4S gas fitter, and he said, "You're going to have to leave." I said, "No, I'm not leaving." He said, "You're going to have to leave." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Because there's other people waiting to be done." Oh, listen now. I said, "Well, they're not getting done while I'm here." Anyway, he disappeared. Then after about 20 minutes, I said, "Come on to my friend," and we went out on a cigarette, and the cop arrived. He didn't want to go into court, but I said, you know, they have violated my human rights. They've, in my opinion, acted criminally, and it's not your job to make a legal determination whether I'm right or wrong. It's your job to investigate these allegations and take a statement off me and pursue it further." And he said, he was a nice cop. He said, "Yeah, okay, all right." So anyway, he went in the court, and within 2 minutes he was back out again. He said, "Well, you'll have to come to the station to make a statement." I said, "Absolutely." So we went to the station. He took a statement down of what happened, and I said, "Well, what happens now?" He said, "Well, give us a week and give us a call back." Okay, all right. So in between time, I got another letter off the court saying it was adjourned till 9/11. 9/11. There's that bloody date again. So anyway, a week later I rang the police. I said, "What's happened?" He said, "Well, my charges took it out of my hands, and it's been sent to the court as a complaint to the court, and they're handling it." At that point, I raised my eyebrow and thought, well, you know, that's a bit daft, isn't it? I'm accusing somebody of making allegations of treason, perjury, misconduct in public office, and they send the complaint straight back to the place that I'm accusing. Anyway, okay. So I forgot about that, and I was involved in then the second case, the second hearing. So it turned up with 3 witnesses on 9/11, Veronica of the Chapman family being one of them. And we walked into the court. The judge said, "Are you Mr. David Truthjuice?" And I said, "No, I'm commonly known as Dave of the Truthjuice family." But before that, that's right, I put in a defence pack. And this defence pack spoke about the Vienna Convention, the Bangalore Principle, and all their protocols and the thing that they have to abide by. Again, the Bill of Rights, 1688. The Declaration of Human Rights and Freedoms, the Human Rights Act 1998, quantifying the difference between the natural and the legal person, and I expect to have all my rights upheld when I go into your court on 9/11. That was sent off probably about 3 weeks before the hearing. So we came to the second hearing or trial or whatever it was. And there was what I assumed to be a district judge. I've no idea because he did not introduce himself. And these people do not like giving you their names. No. You find it very difficult to get the names of these people. Anyway, he was up on his altar, circumambulating, as I call it. Pacing up and down, surveying his direction of travelling as he's trying to get from west to east, for those who understand masonry. Yeah. And he said to me, "Oh, you Mr. David Truthjuice?" And I said, "No, I'm David of the Truthjuice family." "Are you David Truthjuice?" "No, I'm dead." And he said, "Right, get out of my court. You've no business here. You're free to go." And I looked at Veronica of the Chapman family, and she looked at me, rather dazed. And he said, "Please get out of my court. You've no business here. Security, remove these people." So we got 2 gas fitters this time, came from either side of the court and herded us like sheep and pushed us out. And on the way out, this man who was walking up and down on the altar said, "I'm putting an arrest warrant out for Mr. David Truthjuice." So the judge obviously took a legal determination that I was not the legal person, Mr. David Truthjuice, that I was the natural man. So I said, "I've had enough of this." So I rang the police again. So I got through to the call centre, "Who is it?" "David Truthjuice family." "What's it regarding?" I said, "Well, I believe there's crime being committed yet again, misconduct in public office, and, at Carnarvon Court." "Right, well, what's it?" I said, "Well, get a constable up here because, Well, first of all, you've got to give us the details, And she said, "Just hold on a sec." A couple of minutes later, she came back and she said, "We're not going to be sending the constable up there because it's a civil matter." A civil matter? I'm trying to report what I perceive to be a crime, and treason is a crime. So is misconduct in public office, and perjury is. So, no, it isn't a civil matter. It's a criminal matter. Yeah. No, it isn't. It's a civil matter, and we're not sending anybody up there. So, I put the phone down. I'm sitting there astonished, and then the court usher comes out again. He said, "Mr. Truthjuice," and I said, "Are you addressing me?" He said, "Yes." I said, "What do you want?" He said, "Would you like to come back into court?" I said, "No, I'm waiting for the police to arrive." Right, so he went back in again, sheepish, and that was that. So we went to the police station, all four of us, three witnesses, and after about 20 minutes, a sergeant, I can't say names, can I? But a sergeant come out with a piece of paper in his hand, walking towards us across the car park, waving his arms in the air, with a piece of paper in his right hand, saying, "I'm not speaking to you, I don't want to know, I'm not listening, I've been told to give you this piece of paper, please go away, it's nothing to do with me," blah, 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 waving his arms about, and he put this piece of paper in my hand, which said, adjourned till whatever date in October at 12 noon.
This was last week, wasn't it?
No, this is for last week's hearing. So I said, "Well, hang on a second." He said, "No, I can't speak about it. I'm not interested. I've just been told to give you that. I'm not taking any complaints. I'm not taking any statements there." I said, "Well, just answer me one thing. Is there an arrest warrant out for me?" "No." "Okay, that's fine." So we all got in the car. We all went our ways.
Critical Mass Radio Time to Act conference is taking place from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. on Saturday, 24th of November 2012 at the Britannia Country House Hotel, Didsbury, Manchester. With 8 key speakers covering the sovereign state of Forvic and council tax manipulation, government cover-ups and the paranormal, what's gone wrong with British policing, what's really happening inside our courts, the trust relationship, deaths and the economic enslavement, military basic training and techniques of mind control, how the Constitution, laws and regulations of the EU will enable it to hold us in slavery, and how we have been programmed with language for so very long. This is an event you definitely do not want to miss. Speakers on the day are Danny Bamping, Albert Burgess, Tony Farrell and David Noakes, with CMR's very own Ben Emlyn Jones, Rob Freeman, Mark Howell and Paul Rippon. The world has reached a moment in time when it has become apparent to those who know how things really work that we all need to unite and move forward proactively as a matter of urgency to try our best to protect our future and that of the planet. Please join us at the very first CMR conference to help make that move in the right direction. And remember, knowledge is power. Tickets for this event are £20 and available via the CMR website at www.criticalmassradio.co.uk. Please pay for tickets required using the donate button on the site. The CMR Critical Mass Radio Time to Act conference, because now it's our turn.
Here with Truthjuicedave. I guess just explaining before the break of the 2 hearings that I've been involved in, and it's going to take us on to the hearing that took place last week. Is that right, Dave?
Yeah. So I did end up getting arrested, by the way, by a constable of Merseyside Police.
Without a warrant?
This is without he didn't have a warrant with him, but apparently a couple of days later got a letter from the court saying there is arrest warrant out for Mr. David Truthjuice to be remanded on bail, blah blah blah. No reason why the warrant was issued on the letter that I got off them. I rang up the court. I said, "What's going on?" I was there in front of the judge. He told us to get out. I had no business there. Oh, the warrant isn't live, was the statement made by somebody within Carnarvon Magistrates Court. It's only if you don't turn up at the next hearing then it becomes live and you will be arrested. I said, so I don't have to worry about getting dragged out of bed, kicking and screaming at 3 o'clock in the morning after I've had a few drinks and I might say something to incriminate myself. No, it's only if you don't turn up. I read the letter again and went down to the police station. Right, and ultimately a constable came and said, yes, it is live and I am arresting you. So I got it recorded that anything I say or do after I've been arrested is under duress. Okay, fine. So the officer who was the charging, I think they're called charging officers in the custody suite, said, what's your name? I said, no comment. He said, we can do it the hard way or the easy way. If you wanted to do it the hard way, that's my way. I'll lock you up in the cell till Monday morning and we'll stick you in front of a judge who'll decide what to do with you. Or you can do it my way and be compliant, give us your name. So he said, let's start again. Name. And the policeman said, David Truthjuice. And he said, date of birth. And the policeman gave me date of birth, and at that point I thought, right, that's okay, I need to say nothing else. What the officer probably did was took power of attorney over me, which, anyway, I wrote a letter to Merseyside Police saying I expect the police officer who took power of attorney over me at the custody suite to be there to act as my power of attorney and take all consequences and liabilities at the hearing, blah, blah, and put a letter of complaint of what happened. Then I sent a letter to the court, which I hand-delivered along with my birth certificate and the driving licence, which basically said, I can't say verbatim, right, but it said, I expect some respect the next time I come to your court. The last time I was pushed out by your bloody gas fitters, and blah, blah, blah. I am not the property or slave of the United Kingdom PLC, the United Kingdom Limited, or any other corporation, and do not treat me as one. And the last sentence was, I may require an interpreter. I delivered that. No. An interpreter in legalese, in the Sonic language, and English as well, or Welsh even. Right? I hand delivered that on a Tuesday. Got a date stamped. Friday I got a prosecution pack, an inch thick, right? And the Saturday I got a letter from the CPS saying this case has been discontinued. Now bear in mind that the charge this time is failure to provide driver details, which carries 6 points and up to £1,000. Now, and the reason why the dropped the case according to them, there was not enough evidence to ensure a conviction.
Despite the photograph?
Despite the photograph, despite all the other evidence, so on and so forth. Now, my questions are these. How can a magistrate or 3 magistrates, a court clerk, and what I assume to be a district judge ignore your human rights, the Bill of Rights, the Bangalore principles which have been set, and we've all signed up to them, the United Kingdom signed up to all these, and how can they ignore all these rules, regulations, protocols, acts, statutes? How can they do that when you walk into these places? Because that's exactly what they do. My theory is, number one, or one or two things. You're either walking into an embassy of a foreign country that changes the laws whenever they want, or you're walking on a ship and the captain is in charge, i.e. the judge. Now, they don't observe any of your rights from what I've seen. From my experience, none of my human rights were observed. None of the statutes that I brought up to them to defend me were observed. They just wanted to go for the jugular. And in the end, I believe the letter that I said, I am not a slave or a serf or the property of the United Kingdom. Right? I think that is the thing that made them go, whoa, we don't want to speak to this guy anymore.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I believe. Rob has a different idea, but we're on the same lines.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Now, a lot of what I've learned over the last 12 months, Rob has had a large input into that, and I've got to say that. But having said that, I've learned a heck of a lot before that as well. And it's all coming to a head now. When you walk into these courts, you are, number one, either going into a foreign country that doesn't have to observe the United Kingdom's rules, or you're walking onto a ship on the high seas. Either way, they've got no jurisdiction unless you give it to them. But if you're going into these places, make sure you do so and you write to them beforehand and let them know who you are, what you are, and you know what their bloody game is. Because if not, you're going to get stuffed. They will. Well, look at what they're doing on a daily basis. They're taking away people's homes off them. And if nobody's seen the circular that went out in April 2011 over the council tax from the Justices Clerk Society, I'm sure Rob will bring that up in his piece. Which goes against all their principles. It is up on one of the sites, I think it's Freedom Northwest. But anyway, that's my story. They dropped me like a hot potato.
I think a lot of that is, you may have put your finger on it there when you said over, you were talking to some form of embassy of a foreign country.
Yeah.
Because the CPS, and I've spoken to Rob Freeman about this, and we're going to look into this a bit further. The CPS is based and run out of the City of London. The City of London is a different country. Is an independent sovereign state. So how can an independent sovereign state inside of the United Kingdom have any jurisdiction over the subjects of the United Kingdom?
Well, if you look at your birth certificate, it's Crown copyright.
Yeah.
So they own the legal fiction.
Exactly, the legal fiction.
And you think you're the legal fiction when you walk in these places, and that's how they're getting you.
That is the truth.
And you've got to know thyself, as it says in the Matrix.
Yeah,
know thyself, know what you are, and you're not a person, you're the son of your father.
Oh, okay, and that leads us nicely into bringing on the show. Rob, are you still there, mate?
I am, mate. Can you hear me okay?
Fine, yeah, so you haven't gone out for a couple of pints or anything while your mate's been
absolutely
doing his stuff. Are you okay, yeah?
Fourth one now, yeah.
So that links nicely with Dave speaking there about trying to get the court to recognise him as a man.
Yeah.
And bringing to their attention or their awareness the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the Convention of United, etc., which you will go into far better than I can. Do you think that's a part of it?
Absolutely. I mean, Dave went in there with a few different approaches. Something pressed the right button. He pressed the button. We just got to sort of dismantle what he did to establish which button he pressed. I think he pressed more than one, to be honest. But certainly when he started citing slavery, that was a big issue there, under my impression. Yeah, and do you think there is anything in that, because the points are raised about the City of London or the name, there is another name that Rob Freeman brought up last night, Her Majesty on Chase, of England. As in, with Rob Freeman's case, it seemed to me that they could not hand down any form of punishment, any
punishment they wanted to. They were talking about 6 months imprisonment, and it basically what it came down to was they were putting putting points on a license that doesn't even exist. For me, they were just trying to get rid of him. And I say with Dave here, he had nowhere to go with it.
Yeah. Well, what I'm finding out from my sources, some are pretty good, is that within the judiciary himself, there's huge changes happening within the Her Majesty's Court and Tribunal Service. It's no longer called that; it's called HMCTS. Right? Don't confuse that with Her Majesty's Courts and Tribunal Service, right? And there is a rebellion taking place within the judiciary. Okay, they are the more intelligent ones are very, very concerned at what's happening within the judiciary. I've been reading through. I've got a habit of reading through reports and stuff and try to get in the head of the other side, if you like, if you can call them that. And there is a number of reports been issued recently from Ministry of Justice expressing very great concern about the way the public's reacting to this experiment. And the experiment is called HMCTS, and this administrative hearing system they've set up as an experiment, and it's not going too well for them, and they are aware of it. They're actually using words about public dissatisfaction and public disquiet, so they're aware that we're not happy.
Is that another way of saying no public dissatisfaction?
That's the polite way of saying we're jacked off, yeah.
Yeah, there's too many of these people, i.e. Rob Freeman, Dave, who's sitting next to me. There's too many of these people. Thanks for that, Rob Freeman. Her Majesty in Right of England. Rob Freeman's just messaged to me. Cheers, Rob. That basically there's too many people who are beating up at their own game.
The good news for us and the bad news for them is that okay, our numbers aren't huge. There's still lots of people to wake up, and most people wake up. Let's be honest. But we are having a devastating effect on their reputation. Now, this leads to the concept of leverage. Or leverage, depending who you speak. You know, I mean, you've got to be getting leverage against these guys. If you take them on, you haven't got any leverage, you're going to get a beating. So one of the big issues of leverage we have is the reputation. If you read all the guidelines, rules, everything to do with the justice system, they're aware that the public satisfaction in the justice system is everything. Without that, there is no justice system. So that's paramount for them, is to maintain the public confidence in the justice system, and it's been wrecked. They're wrecking themselves. We're just on the sidelines poking a stick into the mess, but they're wrecking it themselves. You know, I don't think you've got to be a free man or a sovereign or whatever we are. I think just your average Joe Bloggs is getting really jacked off for this system. You know, people see there's no justice. People see there's no law. It's just give us your money and go away, you peasant. You know.
Yeah, because we've been deceived all our lives, and our forefathers have been deceived all their lives to recognise a system that it's built on a very, very shaky foundation, because the only foundation it has is that the deceit, that we actually believe what they are telling us. Once we realise that, no, we're being told lies here.
I don't think most people do. Actually, no, I would say most people don't believe. I think the problem we've got is apathy. People, if you just lie to someone continually, they just stop caring, stop listening, stop caring. I genuinely think people around about us are just apathetic.
Yeah, but what can we do attitude?
They believe, so they just stick their head in the sand and pretend that it's pink butterflies and, you know, unicorns in the sky. That's the issue. I mean, that's certainly my finding, speaking to people. They don't want to hear the bad news. There's enough bad news out there, you know. Yeah. So, some people struggle, but I mean, that's some. I mean, there's a few things that we could talk about tonight, mate. And I don't think we have enough time to go into any great subjects. I mean, I'd like to have a bit more time some other night to go through some stuff. But
certainly,
some of the things we had that needs talked about is, what are we doing? What is it we're doing this for? Because I like asking people, why are you doing this? And I speak to free men, sovereigns, whatever, all around the country. It's fascinating to listen to the reasons for what they're doing. I don't think it's a subject that gets discussed enough, to be honest.
Yeah, well, that is 2 points there. One, with the apathy, definitely. You know, that attitude of, what can we do about it? That needs to be shaken. That definitely needs to be shaken. And also, well, answer that question, please, Rob. Why do you do this yourself? What motivates you to do it, please?
I joined the army at 16, so they never broke me in the army. So but I see people obeying orders. I was never very good soldier from that point of view, you know. So I mean, I saw inside the system at an early age, and then later on in life, I became a very successful sort of environmental engineer, and I was running some big sites. So I got a chance to see inside. I was on the outskirts of the inner circle, if you like. So I got a chance to meet and see some of the guys who are sort of running the show, and I just didn't want to work for them anymore. It was disgusting. These people have got no. I'm saying no. I'm being generalising here, but generally the ones I met are psychopaths. These guys are sociopaths. They don't care about us. We're just numbers to them. Yeah. If you lose a few, so what? You know, who are these people to make these decisions? Who are these people to be acting as gods? You know, or more importantly, who are these people now to be presenting themselves as our lords and making us into their serfs? I never voted for that. You never voted for that. Nobody's voted for that. And these are the guys that are running the show now. And it's, somebody's got to stand up. All of us are here. All the people listening to us, we're all just sick to the back teeth now, and just try to do something to do our bit. The very British concept of doing our bit. You know, so that's really all we're doing is doing our bit.
We've got to stop this. These evictions that are taking place, though. That's got to be one of the big injustices of what's going on. And these people look at us as the profane, because we're not inside their club.
Yeah.
I mean, we're profaning. Profane is from their word fraternity. Pro is outside of. So we're profane, and if we can't proclaim ourselves as part of their club, we're going to get stuffed. And everybody, it doesn't matter who they are, unless they're the rich elite, everybody in this country who's got a mortgage is within 3 months of losing their home. Yeah. They lose their jobs. 3 months later, the building society are going to say, right, you haven't paid us, we're taking our property back. And as we all know about the mortgage scam, or those that don't know about the mortgage scam, you need to look into it. But ultimately, that's what I'm involved in it for, is to stop this injustice of seeing families getting kicked out onto the street and ending up in caravans and tents on the side of the road like they are in the States, and it's only a matter of time before it happens here.
Yeah, well, it's happening here, because I know, I won't go into details or names, but I know a friend of mine, close friend of mine, been paying mortgage for 15 years. So how much that works out to, I don't know, but I've been paying mortgage for 15 years and getting evicted shortly. Now to me, that is an abomination. How can that happen in the 21st century?
Just a number. Oh, you're just a number in a spreadsheet.
Human resource, Rob. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a psychological issue with corporations, right? It's to do with money. It's to do with all of us, right? And it's called separation of responsibility. It's words to that effect, right? But it's for separation of responsibility. So effectively, if I lend you a tenner, you say, I know Rob personally, I'll give him it back. So if I lend you a tenner and you pass it on to somebody else and say, pay your Rob back, he'll pay me back because he knows you. He doesn't want to. But the further you get from the person who's actually giving you the money, the more dehumanised they become. So apparently, once you get to the 5th level of separation, 5 people away from the person with the money, the person's he's got no standing to you other than just a number in a spreadsheet. So you've lost that personal, human element to it. And this is why, you know, when they're giving away our tax money, it's no longer our money, because there's that level of separation there. So they no longer treat it as our money; it's their money then. It's an interesting concept, that one. You know, so anyway, It's just it's interesting something why we all get involved in this, and I love asking people this question. And something, I mean, this is something that's just come to my attention. I've mentioned this to a few of my friends. Is how many free men, sovereigns, whatever, are dyslexic. It's way above the national average. Way above the national average. There's something psychological going on there. You know, it's quite surprising. Some of the greatest minds we've got in this movement, if you can call it a movement, are dyslexic.
I find that to be a gift, actually, although I'm not dyslexic, because if you can't understand the words that they're sending you, you're not under their bloody spell.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, you know, I find that to be a gift.
The cast, I've said that over dyslexia and autism as well.
Yeah. Well, autism, they shut off and say, you're a gang of dickheads, I'm not listening to you.
I don't play your game. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Would you go along with that, Rob?
Yeah, well, I don't know much about autism. I can't comment on it. Obviously, I mean, dyslexia is just a minor thing. It's not a major issue for the people who have it, I suppose. But from that point of view, but it shows you something happening in the brain where people are not so easily bullshitted. I think something there where people are not so easily bullshitted, you know. And in certain respects, it's a blessing, I suppose. You know, not been dyslexic myself, but I mean, it's just a pride. I'd reckon about 40% of people I talk to are dyslexic. You know, I think it's just an interesting subject that nobody's discussed before. I think it's a fantastic psychological paper there on that to be written.
Well, I'll leave that to you, Rob.
Yeah.
I have actually spoken to a lady about this, and I was only speaking to her maybe an hour before the show, and she goes, Lorraine Moss was on my show a few weeks ago, and the studies, that's not from an academic background or from which is for me that's the best background to come from when you're not indoctrinated into any system, and the research and studies and what she's come up with regards of all of this are all connected is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Maybe worth involving and speaking with her at some stage as well. We were talking about we were going to have a meet up. I might see if I can. She's down in Essex today, but we've got some form of connection there because I think you're on the right track there with the dyslexia.
Yeah, there's a psychological thing. I mean, a lot of us are just doing this. I mean, the reason I get involved in this is I very long story cut very short was we were on the wrong side of a bankrupt, and so we were trying to get our money back. This guy had broken every law in the book, serious stuff as well, you know, lied. Yeah. He was supposed to be bankrupt, hadn't declared the house, you know, all rafty things. He owed us well over $100,000, and so we were the good guys in that respect, you know, and we discovered there is a wall of Freemasonry. Yeah. Right? We actually had a private call. I won't go into any detail on this one, but a private call from somebody within the system, and he advised us that he would love to proceed with what we would put through to him, but he couldn't because the club were in play. So that's when I realised they'd taken on quite a senior Freemason, and that's when I got my big wake up that day. There is no justice.
Well, the recent farce that was put in front was the Leveson inquiry, the inquiry into the press, police and politician, the connection between them. That was just like one big Masonic get-together, and the absolute sham of Murdoch turning up in his own court, basically as a defendant or as a witness was an absolute joke. And that, if anybody wants to see a display of Freemasonry in full flow, just watch any of them inquiries, because the only two people there at both, should say, was that had anything of any worth to say or any truth in it, was the lad that burst into when the Tony Blair was given evidence and called him a war criminal, and started the state give evidence and proof before he was dragged out by the gas fitters again. And in the other one was the lad who, although I'm not an advocate of violence in the sense of that, but I did smear the lad who put the foam pie in Murdoch's face, and he was just making a statement without saying anything at all. He made the statement, what probably most of the population would like to do to all of them and a lot more. But it was an absolute show of Freemasonry, that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, what can you say about that? It was just, but I mean, I've seen what was presented to me as being an oath that these Freemasons swear, and it swears to stand by their brother despite the law, to break the law, and to ignore basically justice and what is decent in order to protect their brother. Now, obviously, I'm not a Freemason, so it's come to me from a third-party source, but it sounds about right.
Yeah.
Sounds about right. You know, I mean, you see it with the police, you see it with the army, you see it with you see it with all corporations. Anyone who's part of a group, they have a loyalty to the group that goes beyond outside the group. I mean, I worked in the corporate world for many years, and it's quite interesting how many people will put their morals and put what's good to one side and be absolute shits during the day to people, breaking people, destroying people's lives, and then go home and be the greatest father or mother in the world. And it's just, there's a psychology at play there. It's a human thing. It's a psychology at play. So that's why I like the fact we're individuals. We're not part of an organised movement. There's no leaders. I like that because that'll be a weakness for us if they did, because that'll give them something to target.
Yeah, I go along with 100% there. I've said it in the past that I don't believe in leaders because leaders can be taken out. We've seen that in movements before. Absolutely. And if we give them a target, no matter which way we're coming from this, if we give them a target to aim at, then they will take that target out. We've done it before. We've seen it so many times.
It's easy to turn people. It's easy to turn people.
Yeah.
You just start chucking the word fraud at them, and people with long jail sentences, and it's fairly simple, straightforward process.
Yeah, they'll either assassinate the character or assassinate them. One of the two. Yeah. Even if they throw a little bit of dirt out, that then is retracted and comes out to say, oh, sorry, we got them facts wrong. It's too late then, because that person is associated with whatever allegation or smear.
Yeah,
that's been attached.
We can do that back to them. Remember, that's what I'm doing here. Chuck crap at them because I'm watching my language here. But crap sticks. So the more crap we chuck at them, the more it will stick. So throwing. I mean, just use what they use against us. Just humiliate them, get leverage against them, expose them, go public. Public's a big thing. They're terrified of that. It's the buttons you've got to press. Is dig it dirt on them and get as public as you can with it. They're terrified of this. They're very vulnerable. There's a changeover happening at the moment where everything's been corporatised, and we've caught them a bit in the hop with what we're doing, by the way. Again, this is inside information, because they're very vulnerable, and the last thing they want is publicity to what's happening. So the more public we can get, guys, it's okay winning weak court cases, and the great stuff the guys are doing this, you've got to be pressing the right buttons, and publicity is one thing they are absolutely terrified of, and also building numbers, right? Yeah. There's enough jacked off people out there. I think our focus now should be in building numbers. That's certainly my pretty much focus now is just building numbers, educating more and more and more people. And what we discussed last night at the Ashton meet. For those of you who haven't come there yet, the Ashton meet's held in Ashton and Makerfield near Wigan, and we focus purely in solutions. It's on every Wednesday night. You're more than welcome to come along. No entry fee or any of that nonsense. So it's building numbers. Now we are going to be starting a lot of new groups for new people, brand new, know nothing sort of level people, and bringing people up from nowhere. Because the problem is they come to a lot of the meetings around the country, and they quickly get demoralised because they haven't got a clue what we're talking about. So it's become apparent that we need to be setting up more and more and more new meets. Like cadres, if you like, in the universities. Every 6 months a new meet, and build up teams that way. But there's certainly enough people out there. There's enough anger. It's amazing how many people out there are doing the work on their own and don't know we exist.
We've spoken about this, and I've gone on and on about this as well. Throughout the thread of all my shows, is that we need to be connected. We need to be networked. We've got the facility there of the internet to connect, and then to get in touch with people and to say, as you just said there, that the meets that are in Ashton. I know Freedom Northwest are doing a lot on this now. With the meetups, the talks. I think I'm right in saying your talk, Rob, Dave's, and our own Rob Freeman's are up on the Critical Mass Radio page at the moment. And if people go to I'd say there's no fees, no charge to get anything like that. They go to, and the information that's being put out there is ground roots. It's grassroots. It's information that people can take on board and use.
This information, of course, you're fortunate to buy it because it's guys like Rob Freeman. I can mention 1,000 names. Dave. The guys that are out there and been in the courts and challenged this, and it's all a learning curve. And that information's. I mean, how much would that cost to buy?
Yeah. Can I just interrupt there a sec, Rob, and bring this up that we the people who've got the experience, the people who've got the knowledge, right, need to be sharing everything.
Absolutely.
Right, and not I'm above your level of knowledge here. Hang on a sec. Now, nobody's above anybody else's level of knowledge. You just know different things about a different area. And we need to pool it all together. And those people who are just coming through now, getting aware of what the system has been doing to them, and the technologies, if you want to call it, that we have developed, we need to be bringing those people up and getting them knowledge, not just ignore them and say, oh, well, come back to me when you're at a certain stage, because that itself is self-defeatist.
No, it's just
you know, and we need to be encouraging these people who've only just come across this knowledge, are scared to use it, obviously, because it's brand new and they don't know whether they're going to get stuffed by these so-called author of the writs authorities. And encourage them to come along to the meetings and not to be embarrassed in any way whatsoever. Absolutely. If they've got a stupid question or what they seem to be a stupid question.
That's the most important question.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we need to encourage them. And I will say to that, those that are out there that are listening, who have passed a certain level of knowledge, competence, not to be poo-pooing anybody who's just coming into this knowledge. And you should be encouraging out there freely and giving this information and encouraging them and helping them along the way. Yeah, I just wanted to say that.
Numbers, we've got to build numbers up. We could be saving lives as well, you know.
Absolutely.
I mean, certainly, everybody out there, I mean, I understand people have got their own commitments, they got families and their own stuff to deal with. But, I mean, you've got one night a week. You can go down your local pub, you can arrange, we get a decent venue, it adds the credibility. There's local pubs have got conference rooms, they're delighted to be selling extra beers. It doesn't take much, just get down there and just word of mouth, bit of advertising if you want, doesn't take much work. And I mean, the Ashton meet started with 3 of us, I think, that was 14 months ago or thereabouts. 3 of us, and there's times where you feel like chucking it in. You turn up, there's maybe 3-4 people there, and you feel like chucking it in, you know. But you just got to keep plodding away, and make it interesting. Get good guests on them. All of us are willing to act as guests. Set up Skype guests. You don't need people in person. You can do it through Skype, so that doesn't cost anything. Yeah. And so there's no excuse really. I know I've seen there's no excuse. I understand people have commitments. But if you've got a night a week and you've got time in your hands. I mean, you can go in there challenging courts and one thing or another, but the most devastating damage you can do is bringing more people on board.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think another thing there as well, what we spoke about ourselves and Rob Freeman just before we came on air, and the one word that came up was organisation. We're working against a highly organised and ancient system, and we have to sort of fight like we'd like. And say we've got to get organised, and we've got to have the documentation there, make people aware of all of the in your talk, Rob, especially with going through from the Declaration of Human Rights 1948 and in its various forms. What Dave mentioned of the Bill of Rights 1688 and the one after 1689 as well. All these documents should say, are still valid and can be used as a defence, as both a defence and an offence in our favour.
Yeah, but as I keep telling people, if you don't know your rights, you don't have any. Those documents are out there. How many people know about them? Yeah. How many people think the Magna Carta no longer exists? In fact, I tell you, I mean, south of the border, right, I'm gobsmacked at the level of ignorance regarding your own constitution. Absolutely gobsmacked. I mean, we're not vastly better north of the border. There's a lot more knowledge north of the border about your own constitution than there is south of the border. This is something we've got to change. I mean, nobody else is going to do it, guys. There's one else that's going to do this. There's going to tell people.
Yeah, well, the whole Western civilization, if you will, is based around the Magna Carta, because England was based around the laws and not documents, as it says, the Great Charter.
It's actually in
and it's supported everywhere. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, mate. Just carry on talking. I'll just read this out to you in a second. I'll just dig it up. And,
no, go on, Rob.
I'll show you. Right, we talk about there's all human rights. I mean, I'm not saying human rights is. I think the first thing we should do once we get control back of the country again is chuck human rights in the bin. Because human rights are social engineering, right? That's all they are. Is social engineering. But for the time being, it presses the right buttons. So we should be using them, right?
It's terminology, yeah. Well,
I'm not
it's
saying
fundamental freedoms.
It's the right way to go, but it's a tool in our toolbox. We only have full chuck's tools in the toolbox, right? But I mean, you talk about Magna Carta, okay? And the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which is not a legally binding document, by the way, it's a pledge. Be careful with that, right? Yeah. It says, whereas it is essential, if man is not to be compelled to have recourse as a last resort to rebellion against tyranny and oppression, that human rights should be protected by rule of law. That comes straight from Magna Carta. The word rebellion's in there. When they get policemen and other officials talking about, oh, you rebels, it's in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, mate.
It says, and I've covered this before on early shows, it tells us in the Magna Carta, and this goes back to the original, the reason I asked you the question before is why you do it. Now, I more or less every single week I come up with the same phrase, and what we are doing in this movement, I look at it as a resistance movement myself, but what we are doing in this movement is not an invitation, it's not a request, it is not a by your leave or anything else. It tells us in the Magna Carta, it's our duty, and if we are, the situation that we're in now, we've allowed to get to, and now we're trying to turn it round and fight against it, and it tells us in there that if need be, we have to go into, it's our duty to go into lawful rebellion.
It's not it's not a choice.
No, it's not a choice, it's our duty.
As I speak to people south of the border, it's not a choice, guys. It's not as if you can sit in the fence while I'll jump home and the time's right. It's an obligation on you. It's in your constitution, it's an obligation.
It actually says in the document. It tells us in the document. Now, if we want to disregard, or anybody who does want to disregard that document, or ones that came after it, then they deserve everything that's coming to them. They deserve everything that's coming to them. But for the likes of ourselves, who will stand by them documents and cite them in a court of law as Dave did, then we have the right, I'd say our fundamental freedom, is to use that document as our defence and be under the protection of it.
But here's a thought for you. If you're walking into a port, which is what I think these ports are, If you're walking into a non-jurisdictional port and you're presenting yourself as a vessel, are they going to listen to Magna Carta? Because they're not in UK territory, are they?
No.
Well, so just have a thought about that one. I'd be nervous. Use it, absolutely use it. Make sure you're aware that you know about it. But I mean, is there any jurisdiction in their ports?
No, absolutely
not. As the Magna Carta describes us as sovereigns of this nation, we are protected by that document, and no Parliament, no Prime Minister, nobody at all can change or can what they try to is repeal, because it would take the getting together of a monarch and a pope to make any changes to that charter.
Is they can in 1st of April 2011 they can merge Her Majesty's Court Service with the Tribunal Service into this new I use this in a legal sense bastard title called HMCTS, which is unconstitutional, right? Yeah. And by doing that, they can establish themselves as an external jurisdiction.
It also comes to something, Rob. I just want to bring this up over this Bill of Rights. I brought this Bill of Rights up to the MP of my local area. Now, this guy, I'm not mentioning his name, but this guy is of mature years, and he's been in politics decades, and he didn't know anything about the Bill of Rights. He'd never heard of it.
I know.
So I mean, apparently this document has not been getting taught in law school since the very early 1960s. So a lot of the solicitors don't know about it.
Yeah.
Now that is absolutely disgraceful when your MPs don't even know
it's clever
about documents like this.
I look at it from another way. It's clever.
Yeah.
Don't learn it. You've got to take the hat off to them. You've actually got to give them a nod of the head on that one. That's brilliant what they've done.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So the response we've got to that, we've seen that we've identified there's a problem there. People don't know about this. What's the solution? Start telling them.
It's
Get out there and start these meets up. Get out there and tell people about this. There's no point talking to the guy at the back of the bus. You've got to get, you've got to present yourself as a credible source. Start the meets up and get people learning this material because they don't know it. There's no point in sitting there bitching they don't know it. Get out there and tell them.
Yeah,
that's what we're doing, and that's what everybody should be doing. Otherwise, sitting there behind the play the computer, gaining all the knowledge for yourself and not sharing it. I mean, you know, there are people like that, Rob, who are just using this information and technology for their own ends and not sharing it with other people. And for it to be of any use to any of us in the future, everybody's got to know about it. Because if you're the only one that knows about it, I'm afraid you're going to get railroaded.
Yeah.
So just teach two other people, and the pay it forward deal. This is the deal I do with people, right? It's a pay it forward deal. I'll teach them the limited knowledge I've got. I mean, we're all enthusiastic amateurs at the end of the day. So I'll sort of impart the information I've got on them. But the deal is, you must teach two other people it. And if we all did that and we pushed and drove that way, it wouldn't take long before the entire country would know about it. We know that old parable about the Chinese emperor and the grain of rice and the chessboard. You know that one,
Yeah.
So I mean, quickly doubles and doubles and doubles and doubles, and there's only, well, they say 70 million. I think we're near 85 million, to be honest, in this country. But 70 million people. I mean, you know,
it's 56 million actually, Rob, at the last count.
Yeah, well, I think
it's gone down.
When did you count them?
2010.
I mean, the issue is, there's no point in bitching these people don't know it, because the biggest problem we've got is you speak to a guy and he turns around, it's happened to me, and he says, I don't believe you've got to say. I don't get. It's a matter of faith. I don't care what you believe. That's what you're up against. You're basing that belief on
system.
No knowledge. You know, I can provide everything I've said to you. I can put papers in front of you to prove it. You know, but I don't believe that. And this nonsense about allowing, let's agree to disagree. No, you're wrong. I'm right. You know, to be honest, I've no mercy with people now. When they turn around and they start arguing, I just walk away. I'm not. Yeah. There's no point engaging you any further because you're not interested. Because, I mean, we've got to work against something else. I think this is my personal opinion. Is we've got to face it as the vast majority of people will not come on board with what we're doing.
No, because they're comfortable with their own life until the system starts attacking them, and then they'll be there.
Yeah, but when they do come on board, they won't be doing it for the higher reasons that I think we're all in for. They'll be doing it for themselves. Well, I mean, many times I get, Rob, I've got this, I've got a parking ticket, help me out. No, I'll show you how to do it, and you can do it yourself. I'm not doing it for you. Yeah. You know, because I've been stung with this before. I help people out. I spend 2 or 3 days helping somebody out, and then the deal is you go and teach somebody else, and they don't. They go, yeah, he got me off a parking ticket, or he got this bill sorted out, or he got this fine removed, or whatever it is, you know, and they go away in the background. So I've learned my lesson with that one. You know, your time's better spent educating people to help themselves, and the ones that won't help themselves, there's a clue. You shouldn't be wasting your time on them.
Absolutely right.
I mean, there is vulnerable people out there. I'm not saying everybody. There is vulnerable people out there, and they do need special help by us, you know. But the ones who can look after themselves and choose not to, you're a victim. You're a professional. I can't help you, mate. Until you sort yourself out, I'm not helping, you know. But it's how we focus our energy the best way to get maximum effect. And that's purely what I'm focused on. I mean, the work I do, I mean, I'm limited in my knowledge. I'm just like the rest of you guys, you know. But what I'm focused on is if it takes more than 2 minutes to explain to someone, they won't use it. So the work I've done for the last year, and Dave's aware of some of this, is the ideas I come up with are really simple. I avoid the complex stuff and I go for the simple ideas where people can use them to defend themselves and perhaps go in the offensive. So I mean, I focused on like human rights. That's people. There's no fancy language there. You're pressing really big buttons by doing that. By the way, because it's not the codes of practice. So the reason I want to be human rights is not that I'm a huge believer in it, but it's a powerful tool to be used in the toolbox. And people are even fairly new to this can use human rights. The one I did last night was the talk I did last night, which is going to be on YouTube shortly. I've posted the PowerPoint presentation on the Freedom Northwest. And that's what they call the law of mistake. Yeah. That's what I've used the last 18 months. That is pretty straightforward. and it's a very, very powerful tool to use.
Another one that you mentioned last night, legal uncertainty, that's a cracker.
Uncertainty of legality, legal uncertainty, that comes from the law of mistake, but it's legal uncertainty. I mean, that's a show in itself, but that's powerful stuff, because everything that happens to you that's bad with these guys is because you've assumed legal certainty. What you've got to do is become slippy, become grey. This is how they work. Yeah, absolutely. You name it, the judges, policemen, the MPs, etc., these bankers, they've all got multiple personalities and slip in and out of these personalities as they choose. Most of us have got one personality. That makes us a fat, sitting, stationary target with a big X painted in our chest. We've got to become grey, we've got to become slippy, we've got to look at some of these minority groups such as gypsies, how they've lived for so long. They stay slippy, and the result, they don't go to court very often. We've got to rely learning lessons from these guys, but it's out there, and that's something people need to look into. And again, that's fairly new. That you can do that even if you're fairly new to the movement. You can start playing with this as a defensive mechanism. And I've defeated bailiffs, you name it, DVLA. I've defeated all of them with this legal uncertainty. They can't handle it. It's a really interesting avenue to explore. But there'll be a video on YouTube shortly that I did last night.
Excellent. Well, sorry. Coming to the end of this now. So just before, while I think on. Is there any way both of you would say for people? I know you mentioned the YouTube videos. Yeah. The meetups, whether they be in Ashton. I know there was one of St. Anne's.
Yeah, that's New Horizons. Yeah. They're a bit like Truthjuice and New Horizons. They have along with talks like Rob's here. We cover all sorts of things, and I mean everything, just like they do in New Horizons. But if it's this particular subject that you want to get educated in, I can't think of anywhere else better than the Ashton meet, because Rob knows his onions.
It's not just me. We've got an absolute, it's a shout out to the Ashton meet, by the way. We've got an absolute fantastic core team built up there now.
Absolutely.
So it's just I take my hats off to the guys in the meet. It's not just there's a lot of people in the meet. We're all sharing knowledge, and we're all really experienced now. So it's a shout out to the guys in the Ashton meet, and another shout out to the guys in We Are Change. Their video. Now, if you go into the We Are Change YouTube channel, all our presentations are on there. So a shout out to the We Are Change guy.
And the Freedom Northwest.
Yeah.
I know Alex is heavily involved. I'm Paul, station manager, and all the information as well, or the YouTube videos, etc., are all up on the Critical Mass Radio page there.
Fantastic.
For any information. Can I just thank both of you for coming on the show, and we've got to do this again. This isn't long enough, is it?
No.
We haven't gone anywhere with this yet, have we?
A few days.
We're going to have to do this again if you're both agreeable.
Absolutely, yeah, no problem. No problem.
Okay then.
I'll just have to apologise for my coughing, folks. So a frog came into eat throat as soon as I walked in the house.
No, thanks for having us on. Very much appreciated. I'd love back because there's some other stuff, a lot of material I'd like to run over. I think it'd be useful for people as solutions, so if you want us on, give us a shout, mate.
Definitely. Rob, I'll catch up with you off air, because we're going to arrange sorting out meet up with Rob Freeman and Dave and stuff and whoever. And thanks again for coming on the show, Rob. Since you're on Skype, would you end the call at your end, please? I can't do this end. And I'll catch up with you later. Cheers,
Bye-bye.
And thanks yourself, Dave. I know you're going to hang around. I'm going to get Pippa. I'm just going to play a tune, and then Pippa will be on. Do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of Critical Mass Radio. I believe in free speech for myself and for others, and I intend to reserve the right to have free speech for myself and for others.
You're listening to Critical Mass Radio. Now it's our turn.
Okay, welcome back, folks. Pippa? Hello.
Hi there, George.
Hello,
Dave.
Dave's gone.
Oh, has he gone?
Yeah,
Never mind.
He's bailed on me. No, he said, I'm not going to sit here while you finish the rest of the show coughing, because he's got a terrible cough.
Fair enough.
But good on him. He agreed to do the show tonight, because he's got one of them irritating ones that just you can't get rid of. But he done great to get right through the show. Some great stuff there, wasn't it, from Dave and Rob?
Unbelievable. I take my hat off to people like that getting up in court and disputing the system. I mean, I saw Rob do it last week, and it's a daunting process, and it's just really interesting. And like they say, get out there and do it, and then show somebody else how to do it, and that's how the word gets out, isn't it? You empower people to do things by sharing it.
Yeah, it's a walk in the walk. They're not just talking about it; they're doing it. They're experiencing and undergoing, things that people just go like that. Oh no, couldn't do it. And these lads are just getting up there and doing it. That's why. Sorry.
I was going to say, I got a parking ticket about 8 months ago, and I was a little bit aware of this 3-man sort of thing. I was like, should I dispute it? And I didn't. I paid it, and I should have done it. And if I get another one, I will dispute it.
Yeah, well, that's the way we've been indoctrinated. That's how we've been brought up in this system, from the education system to work system, to the judicial system, to the system of government. We're trained for. Sorry.
No, sorry. Go on, George.
No, go on.
I was going to say I partly didn't do it because I didn't know what I was doing. So, yes, getting the message out there. So you were saying we were trained?
Yeah, we're dog trained from birth. We're dog trained from birth. We're given our little doggy chews and biscuits as little rewards. That's why I play that song, by the way. A little reward for cowing down to the system, to them. When we've never had to. It's just that the way. It's been brilliant the way they've done it. But a lot of people, more people are awakening to it and going, no, we don't have to put up with this. But anyway, what have you got for us this week? Because again, I thought your time should be a bit longer than this. What do I say every week? You need your own show. You go on with whatever you're going to do now.
How long have we got? Have we got until 11? So we've got about 12 minutes left.
Go on.
Is that right? Right, okay. There were two stories that, one's an ongoing story that I've been sort of looking at, but one of the stories that I caught this week was Ian Duncan Smith talking about giving families smart cards for benefits, so they can't go and spend their cash on booze and drugs and gambling and things like that. So I said, well, that's a bit odd, really. But I had a look into it, and in this one article, it said that the cards were like Oyster-style cards. Now, Oyster cards, which is why it sort of flagged up my sort of interest, have RFID chips in them. So you have a card that emits a radio wave, and then you have a reader somewhere that picks it up, much like a radio mass emitting radio waves, and your radio picking up. So in order for these people to have Oyster-style credit cards, there has to be readers all over the country in tills for the radio frequency of the card to be used properly. But then down the article, further on, it said welfare credit cards. So are they credit cards, which, as we know, the Barclays credit card has RFID in, or are they RFID cards? Because if they're RFID cards, that's a lot of readers that they're going to have to put in all the shops around the country. So that was just the first thing that sort of made my eyebrows raise. Then I had a look into it, and the article goes on to say that there are 120,000 families that are known as troubled families, and we have a czar for troubled families called Louise Casey, who was Tony Blair's respect czar. I mean, it's just bananas, these clangos. But apparently these 120,000 families, whoever they are, cost us £9 billion a year. That's £75,000 a family. That's how they're justifying bringing in this card, because it costs us so much. I mean,
that is, to use the vernacular from Rob Bolloxed figures.
Yeah.
The 120,000 families in their judgment is, and also the figures. I've gone through all these figures before with regard to benefit claimants, pensions, all of it. And when I've gone right through it and I've picked the bones to it, it's nowhere near their figures. They're just figures for headlines, for the Sun and the Star and, you know, what have you. They're just headline for 10 o'clock news. Sorry, Pippa, go on.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's just simply selling it, isn't it? You know,
yeah.
Because, you know, if we give these people cards to restrict what they spend money on, then, you know, as a country, going to be £9 billion better off, which I don't buy at all. But apparently, it's currently illegal for ministers to decree what the benefits are spent on, so they can't do it at the moment. The very last line of the article was something like Ian, this is from the senior aide in the Department of Work and Pensions, that Ian had told civil servants to look at this as a matter of urgency. So, because they can alter laws quite quickly. They don't need to sort of, they just have a sorry, go on.
Acts and statutes, not actual law. You can't alter law, you can bring in or repeal acts and statutes. You can't alter the actual law of this land. Sorry, Pippa.
No, yes, sorry. But apparently he's got this idea that it'll work in the UK because they're doing it in Australia. They've just recently tried it in a couple of states in Australia with success. So they're rolling it out sort of nationwide. But it would be interesting to see how quickly they roll this out and what type of cards they roll it out with, because if they are using RFID, which is an Oyster style card, then that's a big contract for chips and readers that will be going out, and also as well. Sorry, go on.
Can I just make two quick comments on that while I was in my head? First off, in my eyes, when I read the articles you sent them to me and a couple of other things I looked into, this to me is a stepping stone to cashless society. Definitely, that's the whole aim of this, because it does say in the article as well. If the trials are successful, then we'll be looking to extend it into other areas. So that means people who are employed, their wages will go into a card. The technology's there. I went this about 2 months ago in a show with Paul about this. The technology's there for shops to scan and to credit and debit on whether they be smart cards, Visa cards or whatever. And the second point is, if they're rolling this out with regards to people who in receipt of benefits, which I think is the wrong word for what people get when you fall on hard times anyway, but I'll use their vernacular. I'd urge people, anybody, to either write a letter personally, email, or just get in touch with the local MP and ask them if that's the case, because the way they put it, the people that they're intended to impose these cards onto in receipt of funds out of the public coffers, and should be held accountable for where them funds are spent and how they're spent, then write a letter, email, ask your MP. Politicians are public servants, and therefore they receive the benefits from the public coffers, because what they're paid is the benefits because they're public servants. Now, if it follows on from that, politicians' benefits should also be attached to a smart card, in my opinion. If we're going down this route, and their payments should be restricted to what they spend their benefits on, i.e., if they want to go and spend the money in some flash restaurants in Pall Mall, or on booze, drugs, cocaine, they're snorting 24/7, or on prostitutes, rent boys, and God knows what else they spend the money on, then they should be made accountable. They should be on cards as well. I'd ask the MPs about that. Sorry to rant there, Pippa. Go on.
I think you've got a really valid point. I mean, we know from the recent scandals how they've been fiddling their expenses. So it's one rule for the plebs and one rule for them, absolutely. So no, I agree with the cashless society thing. I think we are being primed for a cashless society, definitely. And the thing is, if you're giving benefits out like that, then you can easily take benefits away like that. It's a lot easier to stop payments to families if it's electronic rather than actual cash.
Without a doubt.
So without a doubt, they're doing that, I think. But I know when I was doing the biometrics, there was a school in Scotland that had introduced into a primary school infrared palm scans for the children in order for them to eat.
Yeah. And
that was trialled by a company called Judicial, which is a Japanese big technology company. And the managing director of Judicial actually sort of came out and said, we're doing this because we're priming the kids for a cashless society.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I mean that's the end game for them, which is very sad. And I think it will be a question of those that are plugged in and those that aren't plugged in.
I'm sure we'll be following this, won't we?
Yeah. I'd like to see where this one goes, really.
Yeah.
The other. Have we got time for the other one, George?
No. Yeah. Oh, my love.
There's I don't know if anybody out there is familiar with a guy on the internet called Dutchsinse, DUTCHSINSE. He's an American that basically collates information on earthquakes, HAARP, weather systems, storms, chemtrails, and blogs about it. And he's got a really great YouTube channel. If you just type in Dutchsinse, you'll get his YouTube and his blog, and he's got a Facebook group as well. And there's a developing situation in Louisiana at the moment where geologically, in that part of the world, on land and off land, off the coast of New Orleans, they have what they call salt domes. And these are massive cavities that are filled with salt. And so the Americans have taken the salt out, mined it, and now they have these massive cavities. So what they've decided to do is store petrochemicals and gas and radioactive waste in these huge cavities. There's one particular cavity that's had radioactive debris in it that they decided to put in there. And above this particular cavity, this salt dome, a sinkhole has happened. So the ground is sinking on top of this salt dome. I'm not too clear whether or not the radioactive debris is still in there or not. But it's getting bigger and bigger. And the residents, it's a place called Bayou Corn, have been evacuated. But anyway, 1,500 meters away from this radioactive sinkhole is another salt dome with 1.5 million barrels of butane. That particular sinkhole is 2,480,000 meters squared. And that butane, if that sinkhole is fractured, if that salt dome is fractured, it's highly flammable. And they think if that goes off, it's going to be like 100 Hiroshimas.
Sure.
It's a developing situation that is getting no media coverage whatsoever. Have a look at Dutchinse's website and check out what's going on in Louisiana there, because that's definitely one to keep an eye on, because if that blows, it'll have implications, I think, probably worldwide.
Is that S-I-M-S, Dutchsinse?
Dutch, and then S-I-N.
N, Sins,
yeah.
Sorry. Yeah,
it's a strange name.
I was just writing it down.
But yes, that's another one to keep an eye on. I've seen his posts on it now for about 6 weeks when the sinkhole started. But they think it's something to do with the fracking that they're doing just west of Louisiana, where fracking is where you put high pressure liquid into rocks. Let the rocks blow up basically underground, and then you extract natural gas. And so they're really messing around with the geology down there, and with effect, I think with quite potentially devastating effect. So go and check it out. Go and see what's happening down there.
We've got that in the UK, haven't we? With the fracking for shale gas off the coast. We've got it not far from where I am now, actually, on Fleetwood, I think it is. Off the coast, Fleetwood, Blackpool way. I think they're boring for shale gas there.
Yeah, it's a really destructive way of getting things out of the environment. I've not sort of looked into it properly, but when I typed it in Google, the main thing, well, virtually all the results that came up were people complaining about it and how it's not very good. And obviously, them doing this fracking has set the geology of these salt domes at risk. And if you go to Google Earth and type in New Orleans, just off the coast of New Orleans, you'll see some round circles in the just off the coast there, sort of around about 20 past the hour. If you go to New Orleans and sort of come down a little bit, and those are salt domes. Those are the size of the salt domes that they're sort of putting all these petrochemicals in.
Well, we'll have to keep an eye on it. We've got to wrap up. Sorry, my love. What we'll do next week is, I think you and I will get on Thursday, and then we'll get our guests on after. Give us a little bit more time, because I've got all 30 seconds to go here, and we're not getting anywhere, are we? Sorry, well, the lady just said 60 seconds. We're not getting anywhere on it, are we, really? We're just basically putting the headlines out, not getting any...
Yeah, well, I mean, people can go and have a look for themselves, but I mean, that developing situation in Louisiana is big, and it isn't getting any media coverage, apart from the independent media on the internet. So, great show, great guest, George. Thank you very much.
As always, thank you very much. I'd just like to thank, obviously, yourself. Ali said before my show, brilliant show again. Hitting the heights, Lisa. Yeah. Dave and Rob, brilliant guests, and obviously the listeners, the ones in the chat room. We'll see you all next week. That means for me to say, and God bless.